DRODA の空の兄弟。
Venom. Venom. My, if you ever heard what I heard in the night, what fright, must have been a parasite in my past life. I don't wanna ever come down from a high. My soul was sending to the sky, guess it's you and I. Gone, but I'm feeling too alive, trying to get me out of spite. Someone's gotta pay, I ain't talking big amount. Some kind of physical pain, some kind of traumatic shit. Niggas wanna see dead bodies, probably not there, running with no automatic clips. Moving scatty, all erratic and shit. Niggas pussy licking batty and shit. Oh, you mad? Then come at me, you prick. Make a move, better pattern it quick. I assume you'll be coming for blood. That makes two of us, that makes two of us. Venom. 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 True as a stick up, hands in the air, put the money in the bag, all cash, all cash. Venom. Boom, 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 boom.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get this review pretty much done, wrapped up, and ready to go. I am excited to talk about this one. So, Predators is one of my absolute, personal favorites in my deck of movies, but of the Predator franchise, it is my low-key favorite, and I'm going to go into why. Now, people are going to probably go, really? Over the original? It's not better than the original. I will not say that's a better movie, because it's not. But I like it better due to the fact that it adds something to the franchise that was kind of needed severely. Variety, an actual influx of lore that I think a lot of nerds wanted. Now, if you grew up on the old Predator lore, I'm pretty sure this is going to be talk that you're not going to like to hear, so you can exit the video now if you're an old school Predator fan that basically just likes the simplicity of Predator and thinks all this nerd shit is basically ruining the whole hypermasculinity of it. And no, you think I'm being sarcastic. I'm not. I'm literally giving that chance now. Okay. From beyond this point, here we go. So, Predators is a movie starring Adrian Brody, Alice Braga, Lawrence Fishburne, Danny Trejo, the guy that ruined Venom in 2007 Spider-Man 3, of course, the multi-talented, wickedly idiotic, and one of my favorite actors, Walter Goggins. Walton Goggins. Why say Walter? Also Mahershala Ali. This is a stacked deck, straight up a stacked deck. It even had a former UFC, even the Russian guy with the big gun, Vladi, I forget his name actually. He's an actually former UFC fighter. So very phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite casts. They even made Adrian Brody likable in this. Do you understand how hard it is to make Adrian Brody cool in the movie? That's amazing. But anyways, it follows basically all these people dropped on to into this jungle randomly out of nowhere and parachuted down against their will. And, people just trying to figure out where they are. And, where are we? What the hell's going on? You quickly gather the fact that this is a group of people from different sects of maybe military branches or gang organizations around the world, whether it's being a Spetsnaz, whether it's oh wow, there's a cartel member, oh there's a yakuza, there's I forget what they call it in the African organization Mahershala's character belonged to. You also have Black Ops, you have a Venezuelan sniper, you have people from all separate dangerous branches in dangerous lines of work that involve killing people. And they've all done horrible things. Each and every one of them have done horrible things. Oh, and Walton Goggins, who is a convicted murderer sent on death row. Go figure. Then there's a wild card. We'll get to the wild card, that is Topher Grace, because why not? But beforehand, this movie is basically kind of, to me, a nice little parallel to the first one. You can tell they put some clear Easter eggs to the first movie. Fanboys made this movie, which is why I appreciate it, because there's clear care to actually put Easter eggs in this movie. Like the scene where Mahershala Ali's character is sitting there, and he's like, I should pull up my IMDb, by the way. I shouldn't be, because I know I forget names like a mother effer, dude. they don't really, they don't like say the names much in this movie, so it's really easy to miss. I know the predators' names, but I don't know the human names. Oof, it's not helping my case, Bobo. Okay, let me just have my cast list to make it easier for me. All right, Mombasa. Mombasa sees something, and it's a direct callback to Billy. There's actually two callbacks to Billy, but the first one is Mombasa sitting there going, "There's something in a tree," which is clearly stating, he sees the outline or the UV bending of a Yautja in the trees, watching them. But you don't really think about that so far. So you're kind of like, I don't know what the hell that is. Maybe you're seeing things. It gets nothing. Moving on. But that was a clear, very clear nod to the first movie with Billy. Another nice little nod that I liked was, um, what was the nod? There's another nod that I really liked. Well, I can't remember it, but one thing I really enjoyed was you could see the exploration of where they're at. They're trying to check through things. You see that the topography of the entire area is messed up. So you're like, huh, why is the topography messed up? I've been in like the Venezuelan sniper. She's been in most jungles and rainforests, and the topography is all messed up. There's She puts a leaf. Now a lot of people for tracking they like to put a leaf in the water, like still water, and see where it goes where the wind blows. And it's just circling around. That doesn't happen. So clearly there's something wrong here with where they're at, and they don't know what's going on. Also, they realize that the sun's been out for like hours. They've been there for a while, and the sun's not moved an inch. That's a problem. It's as if it's not. The whole layout's all wrong. They keep walking. They start to see a few things. They see a trap set by some dead dude, and they're like, "Okay, what the hell?" And then Royce, who was, I will say, one of my criticisms of this movie is Royce was way too perceptive. It's like he absolutely knew everything that he needed to know that anyone would need to know in this situation with zero experience with this species. So it's kind of like, okay, how did you pick up on all this? And I get the whole points to try and ram home that these people are no different in thinking than the Yautjas, but okay, dude, like seriously, he did peep the twist at the end. If you actually pay attention, looking back, I saw where he peeped the twist, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's like, okay, dude, you somehow understood all their tactics and what they were doing. It's like you basically were 15 steps ahead, falling into an area you didn't even understand, you didn't even know about, against your will, randomly. Yeah, I'm supposed to believe that, but whatever, man. It's one of my nitpicks. I actually liked Royce as a character. Believe me, it's just one of my nitpicks. Okay, so they're walking along. What's crazy about this is they're walking along, and you see this. They go in and they go into this little chasm, and you see the music build up, and you see the skyline, and it's not Earth. They're not on Earth. They're on a game preserve planet. Hmm. I don't think we'll be seeing the last of this planet, by the way. Wink, wink. And I don't think we'll be seeing the last. I honestly believe if they were smart, I want some answers to what happened to Royce and Allie. What's her name actually? Is it Ellie? Isabella. I actually want some answers to that because I do feel as though we should be getting some answers. I also want some answers to Royce. I mean, sorry, to Dutch as well. I do believe that we're not seeing the last of these characters due to what they did at the end of Killer of Killers. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but what they did at the end of Killer of Killers, I'm telling you, we're gonna be seeing some of these characters again. But anyways, beyond that, you get this. They're like, okay, so we're not on Earth. Now we need a new plan. What the hell are we gonna do? How are we gonna get off this planet? It is a lot of things you running through your head at that point. But right now, the whole point is to find a is to basically find a point maybe to meet up and maybe just plan and conserve rations and ammo because they're all armed except for, well, Walton Goggins, and well, he has a little knife. Congratulations. And of course, Topher Grace's character, who is the wild card in all this because he doesn't fit at all. He's just a doctor. But anyways, maybe they brought him there, and maybe they brought him there just for like, hey, maybe that they need a medic, so having a medic will be helpful. That's the way you would think the Yautjas would think. You know, because it's like, hey, give them some medics. They want the biggest hunt. But then this crazy scene happens where they're attacked by dogs. Yes, dogs, literal angry space dogs. And they kind of survived that only because the dog catcher, the owner of the dogs basically called them back with a whistle. No shit. Like, basically what you get the sense of, they are being hunted and someone's toying with them. Also, in the midst of it, Danny Trejo's character is already dead and is used as bait, and Royce figures that out pretty quickly and then throws something and it's a trap. Now, I do not quote me on this as someone that might deem a predator expert. I'm kind of not. I don't think, because there's a lot more I need to learn. But I do believe using human traps or using traps of any kind to lure people is expressly dishonorable amongst predators. Though I could be wrong. I've just never seen them do it. So I was like, okay, that's unusual. They don't use traps like that. The jungle predator did not do that. The jungle predator may have lured someone with a voice, but even then, not really. He never used a trap. He could have easily used traps. The jungle predator in the original never did. City Hunter never did. They never use traps. This one, they use a trap. So, yeah. And he was dead because Isabella tried to put him out of his misery, thinking that he was still alive, clinging to life. Shot him, and then she still heard, "Help me," meaning the Yautja was using the recording from him saying, "Help me," from being murdered. Because that's what Yautjas do. They're dicks, can I say. So they go onto this camp, and here's the giant twist of one of the giant twists of the movie, when you realize this isn't a normal Predator movie. Strung Up on a Totem Pole is a classic jungle hunter predator. It looks pretty much almost identical to the first original movie. Strung up, malnourished. What the fuck? Royce disappears in the scene, but I want you to pay attention how Royce is moving. Also, the whole time, dude, like, what's just crazy about all this is, like, that predator's strung up, and you're just like, huh, I don't know how the hell it got in this situation. And then it wakes up and it freaks the fuck out, obviously, and it just starts screaming, rah, rah. And all of a sudden, all these spikes come up and just fucking murder poor Mboso. So Mahershala Ali's already out of the movie. Textbook Mahershala Ali being dead within, like, the first act of the movie. Nominate him for an Oscar. He was just murdered. The spears came up and all that shit. Bang, bang. Basically everything starts ramping up, because then the predators just start blasting, and they play the classic theme, the dun, 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 dun. And I love that they didn't play just they also played like the chase scene where dun, 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 dun. I fucking love that theme. I love that they played that, because that's basically, again, fans made this movie. One thing I always give credit to this movie: fans made this movie. People who actually give a shit about this goddamn property. They started playing that, and then they basically did the reenactment nod scene of Dutch falling down the freaking the path, the slick path into the waterfall lake, and falling into that. The only difference is the Yautja didn't follow them. Here's the thing, though: it wasn't just one Yautja, and here's the other twist: there's 3 of them. There's 2 with shoulder cannons, and that's who were just blasting, capping. They also took it. They took out the Russian dudes like Big Gun. It's crazy, and crazy enough, like they all fall down, and there's what you also see is that they're still being tracked, and the reason they don't follow is because they're being tracked by a drone, which is also expressly dishonorable. They're expressing you can't use drones. That's dishonorable. That's not tracking. You are cheating, and I shit you not, this is literally against the rules. They have they have standards. I shit you not. So they're not mindless killers. They have standards. You can't use drones. But they're bad bloods. A bad blood doesn't care. They break the rules all the time, and they kill other predators. That is expressly the most dishonorable, highest dishonorable order. Punishable by death. But then again, hey, fuck it at that point, right? So you see them all revealed I thought the scene was kind of a little cheesy, but whatever, that's what it is. The budget of this movie is not really high, by the way. But there's like, they get this little photo shoot. You see like Falconer appear with his drone on his wrist. Like, ooh, he doesn't have a shoulder cannon. The reason that Falconer doesn't have a shoulder cannon, we'll get into later, but he doesn't have a shoulder cannon by choice. Then you see the dogs, and you see Tusks appear. He's the dog catcher. And then right behind them, the main man, The one on the screen that I have right here that I'm reviewing with, Berserker, aka Mr. Black. He's looking down at a poor homeboy's corpse that they're getting impaled by 1,000 goddamn spears, but he's about to rip out his spine for a trophy. And he turns around and you just hear the crocodile, the crocodile tick tick of the predator. And there's 3 hunting them. So twist. We've never seen a team of predators hunt people. It's usually one single solitary hunter. I always like the idea of more teams hunting people. I always wanted this. I like that because you haven't seen it since AVP, a team of Yautja going on a mission. But that made more sense for AVP in the sense of, hey, you're hunting xenomorphs. You need a team. It makes sense. Even though 2 of them died so easily, I hated it. AVP pisses me off. But anyways, I could go through all the movie, but I want to only just accentuate this build up for you guys to watch the rest of it anyways if you haven't watched it yet, which I don't think anyone who subs to my channel hasn't watched Predators. But one thing I will tell you about this movie that makes me love it is the absolute idea of how, oh my god, I love how many avenues and options they went. Now, I can tell you theories I have from Killer of Killers, and I guess we can do that, but let me give you a minute to kind of just go through this movie. I gave the score of this movie an 8.7 out of 10. Would I give the original? I better give it like a 9.5, right? If I didn't, please punch me. But I give it an 8.7. The reason I do is it expands the lore and gives an avenue that's so much needed for this franchise that is now being picked up on by Trachtenberg currently to this day right now. They didn't do that in 2018, which was a mistake. They tried to expand it, but they didn't do it the right way. They made a joke out of the whole species, in my opinion, and tried to make it like Kong Skull Island type humor. It was just cringe. You can put a bit of humor. You had to put a sprinkle of humor in the Predator franchise. You can't put that much though and oversaturate it and make it ridiculous. And then make the Predators mannerism stupid. I don't even want watching the movie was just so excruciating. And I'll be watching tonight, unfortunately suffering through that, and then I'm going to review it. I'm going to try and get it all done tonight because I just hate that movie. I don't have any joy in it. Anyways, but this movie was dark. It felt desolate, and also just felt, again, like it was expanding the lore on the Predators and showing that they're not just mindless killers. They also have beliefs. They have people who break the rules. They have their own turmoil. And that's what I love about this movie. You get the sense that there's so much ground to cover. And again, they are using this now today. If you watch, so now we'll get into Killer of Killers so I can start implementing the Killer of Killers talk. So if you don't want spoilers to Predators, Killer of Killers, spoilers are ahead. Spoilers are ahead. I'm giving you this warning now. Okay? All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I have a few theories on this. I believe if you've watched this movie, you already know the samurai sword that Hanzo takes, the samurai sword that Hanzo has and kills Falconer with in this movie. All right. So let me just find Killer of Killers. Give me that in the cast list. I can't believe they had Jerry Trainer as an extra voice on this, and I didn't even know. I can't believe they also had Michael Biehn on this shit, who was Vandy, by the way. And I have a theory on who Vandy's real name is. And I will get to that major theory, and you will sit there and go, really? And I swear to God, it will make sense if you think about it. So, I believe that same sword that Hanzo used to kill, what's his name? To kill Falconer, is the same samurai sword from was it Kyoshi? I always mix the two up. It's Kenji, right? Kenji sword. I believe it's Kenji sword from Killer of Killers. That's the same sword. And this also leads to the next theory. I truly believe that Lawrence Fishburne's character is not Roland. I think Roland is the name of Vandy, actually. It's Torres. I believe that Lawrence Fishburne's character is actually Torres, and he's just gone mad. He crash landed on this planet, killed a few Yautja because he basically grew up, and he also learned how to kill them. And he went mad. I just find it odd how that they have a character that has a samurai sword with a red hilt. They love to point Easter eggs, And then you have a fucking U.S. airman, another U.S. airman that could have had access to that samurai sword if Kenji died, right? That's weird, bro. That's really weird. So that's a weird coincidence. And then I also think about how he probably went mad. Some of the dialogue would make sense. Like, now granted, this is in 2010, so all this is just retrospective. You can make it work now, but it's not like I had a plan for it. But the dialogue that could work, it's like when Lawrence Fishburne's character, Roland, he's talking about, wow, in all my years on this planet, I never thought to commandeer an alien spacecraft. And it's sarcasm because I'm thinking, it's like you've flown one before. Torres flew that ship. It makes sense. He went mad. He's been on there for years. He was frozen cryostasis. It makes sense. Michael Bain, like I said, I think is Vandy. He took the name of Vandy, and I think he's just gone mad, and he's been talking to an invisible person. It could be Kenji. It could be Vandy. I don't fucking know. But he's talking to an imaginary friend. He's crazy. He's lost it. So I truly believe that Torres is the same character as Lawrence Fishburne's in Predators. I believe it. That's my theory. I think it makes the most sense. I believe that same samurai sword he took from Kenji, who probably died. And he went mad and he's been stuck on that planet. That's how I put it. You guys can disagree with me in the comments. I understand. But that's how I look at it. It makes the most sense. One thing I also really enjoyed about this movie is the fact that they did a few things that again show that they're fans of the movie. First of all, the second Easter egg I wanted to cover was my favorite scene probably in the franchise's history is the duel between Hanzo and Falconer for a few reasons. It shows Hanzo's one of my favorite low-key characters because he was born in the wrong generation. He's a samurai at heart, clearly. What I love about Hanzo is he was silent. He talked a little bit. He had a few lines, but he didn't say much. But his actions spoke louder. And he stayed back. And here's why this scene is impactful. If you watch the original, Billy stays back, and Arnold gives him a look like Billy, you gotta come on. And Billy gives him a look like, my journey's ended, my friend. I'm going to die, but I'm gonna die trying to save you guys. And Arnold realized, holy shit. And he didn't even argue because he knew you weren't going to stop Billy from this. Billy was going to go out for his people because the Predator is hot on their trails. At the end of the day, everyone could have died. Billy slowed him up. Unfortunately, he was murdered pretty easily. And but the music they used, down, 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 and you see the Predator going over the ridge and then looking right at Billy. And Billy has his sword out. He basically takes off his vest. He cuts his thing on his thing, and he has his big machete out. Hanzo takes his shirt off. Hanzo has the sword because he took the samurai sword with him, of course. Hanzo might be a descendant of Kenji. It would make sense. He has the sword, and he just stands there, and all of a sudden you see Falconer appear. Falconer is the shortest Predator I think on record in the history of this franchise. He's 7'5". I know that sounds ridiculous to say a 7'5" monster is short in comparison, but he's short. He's 6'5". He's 7'5". They're usually like 8 foot plus, apparently. So they play the same exact music they played for Billy before Billy died. And then they have this duel, and Hanzo kills Falconer. But Hanzo succumbed to his injuries and died. There's just things like that, like I love that. I liked the actual roar from the Berserker Predator. It was throaty. It was very odd. It was also different. It was more hyper. It was more. It was angry. It felt like they mixed in a elephant roar, like an elephant screech with everything else. I liked it. I liked just the way they did this movie. The score was basically from basically the original, and they paid homage to it, and I thought they were respectful with it, and it felt good. They didn't take the full thing of it. They didn't take from the first two. They didn't take the sad trumpet music, thank God. and didn't try to just do a retro copy, but they really sat there and like paid homage to the first two movies very well. I think it was a worthy third, and it expands the lore, and now they're using it to this day. You see different types of predators now. You have different types of lore coming in. I think it's smart. One thing I really enjoy again was just how well they did with the budget. They had a low budget. They did not have a high budget at all for this movie, and I thought they made the most of it. Um, I want to see more voices in Isabella's story, but clearly there's a few things to talk about more in that movie. I'm not going to talk about it yet because I feel as though you guys should more watch it. We can discuss it during a stream. I do want to set up a stream at the end of this week. But one thing I really will say about this movie, but yeah, oh wait, I have one more thing to Falconer. So one of the things, reason I love Falconer, he's my favorite of the three. Falconer's story is very unique. So Falconer rejects Yautja tradition. If you look at the way he is attired, he has his bird-like mask, and then he doesn't have any traditional garb, no skulls, nothing. It's very analog. It's like very empty. There's a reason for that. He doesn't believe in predator tradition, and he also does not have, of course, a shoulder cannon. He does not have a shoulder cannon. Doesn't believe in it. He does not believe in the idea of a shoulder cannon. Also, if you check his gauntlet blade, it is longer than Mr. Black's or Tusk's. It's long, like modeled after a samurai sword. So, because of that, now people have speculated if he's a young blood. I don't know. I don't think he's a young blood, and the reason I don't think he's a young blood is because I truly believe that he might have killed Kenji. So, to be honest, it wouldn't shock me. Who knows? We will maybe find out more one day. But he clearly believes in close quarter combat, and that's why he gave a fair fight to Hanzo in the way of a samurai. And I have respect for that. So that was really cool. But yeah, there's a lot of lore to this movie that people don't really think about. Berserker, Mr. Black, who everyone says is kind of weak, because they kind of portray him a little bit as weak, but I don't. I think that was just the way with the budget that they had, didn't have enough to kind of have him do crazier stuff. He was supposed to be an elite predator on the same level of Wolf. Yeah, Wolf from fucking AVP Requiem. So, no, he just went down a bad path. Who knows? But if you guys enjoyed this review, give a like or share. You know what to do. You know how to use YouTube. But thank you guys for watching. I'm going to watch the single worst pile of goat shit tonight, and my review's not going to be kind. All right, here's a bomb.